Incursions! Yes, today, and the second video I think of today is going to be focused on incursions. Just going to go over like a little brief guide, top tips and things that you really need to watch out for when this game mode is live tomorrow. This game mode is a ton of fun, and I'm not just saying that being biased or anyway. The fact is, it is fun because there's elements of kind of improvement you can make to your champions to make them just output more damage, and if you're paired up and you're thinking strategically, you can have a lot of fun with just smashing out some amazing damage, do some amazing debuffs. Yes, there is a risk factor, and yes, the further you go, it is more trickier, but also the further you go, the more that you can take home when it comes to dark artifacts and 5-star shards. I would also say when you start off your grind in this, go to lower zones and get yourself experienced around this. A lot of players, especially at endgame perspective, would probably be able to do like Sector 5 quite fine. Sector 6 will be a breeze. Obviously, if you think you're going to be absolutely fine and experienced, just go for Sector 7. But the fact is that, look, as the zones continue, they get harder. So I would say just try some lower sectors first, get your experience around this. Think about champions. Something to let you know is I'll probably have a best champions for incursions guide coming out tomorrow. This has been done in conjunction with myself and my colleague of the Contest Run podcast, Frontline MCOC Dan. We're going to be working together on something. We've been recording some stuff yesterday and we're putting together a little kind of collaborative effort, which I'm really excited to deliver to you sometime tomorrow, which will probably be before this game mode goes live, and also has the idea of thinking around people that run S-word masteries as I do, and also non-S-word masteries, just a generic mastery setup, which is going to be beneficial for you as players. Now, essentially, incursions are dungeons and dungeons are incursions, but incursions have more elements of depth to them, especially when it comes to changing champions mid-grind. So you can reach to a certain point, these sabotage links, and go, right, well, I'll change the champion selection, and that allows you to as well just think more strategically if you've gone in with the wrong champions, or it's the case the champion you're going up against when you're taking down one of the mini nodes is not suited for the roster that you have. But do bear in mind, you still will bear the brunt of whatever link nodes that are on them. So it's a little bit frustrating when, say, you're going up against a champion that may have Icarus, or it has Life Cycle, or has some other really annoying node, even for a mini, that you've still got to fight noded. One of the questions is, should you run boost? That's something that's kind of important, and as well, obviously ignore the Act 6 ones, obviously that's based on something I'm doing at the moment, but also some of the generic ones like lesser attack boost, the lesser health and lesser champion boost. Yes, you would be able to run them, and as well it does dramatically help to kind of improve that level of grind. But let's face it, you don't want to be spending your units every single time you go in unless you're a massive whale, so that's an optional thing, and yes, can enhance damage output of your champions as well as health. Okay, I want to segue things and talk about mastery setups. Now, at the moment, I'm running S-word mastery setup. And by the way, to let anybody know, the reason I say S-word and not the actual word itself is because YouTube now started demonetizing me every time I say the full word. You know what I mean. I will probably talk about this in live streams, but I can't let you know because it will affect my livelihood. I can't earn money if all my videos are demonetized because I mention it. Other MC YouTubers aren't affected, but that's something with YouTube and how they affect me. Another story for another day. But the fact is, are these worth it? Yes and no. They're not worth it when it comes to the immunity side of things. And you are restricted by a lot of champions to choose from. And yes, people will say that, no, that's not right, Rich. Well, it is. The fact is, if you've got a champion that is poison immune, that can be great. And as well, if you're bleed immune, that can be great as well. Because the problem largely stems from recoil damage. Recoil damage basically means you're going to lose health. And unless you've got an extensively regenerating champion, like the King Groot, who is a bleed immune champion but isn't a poison immune champion. So that really benefits a lot of things when it comes to double edge, but doesn't benefit when it comes to liquid courage. And effectively you will tick damage, and that's the big point. Unless you have the ability to regen a huge amount, and as well, you know, you're going through the fights, you're going to find yourself losing health a lot more frequently, and it's not going to be beneficial for your future grind. So double immunity champions, or very heavy regenerating champions that have some aspect of one of the immunities, obviously like bleed immunity, could be beneficial. Or there's certain champions like Black Widow Clairvoyant, but that's another story for another video tomorrow. This is when it's time to throw up a little bit of footage about a different type of mastery. So I'm now throwing up footage of Dan utilizing one champion or many champions with his masteries, which his mastery is more of a kind of a straight cut, straight line one, whereas mine is obviously, as we said, an S-word mastery. And as well, it's more effective for these incursions. So effectively, you have to be very restrictive to the champions you use when it comes to S-word mastery setup. And we will go over that in tomorrow's video, because we've got 160 champions to choose from. And if I put that into this video, it's going to be too long. So if you are thinking of using S-word masteries, I would recommend just pushing champions to do L3s above anything that's got something that's got some sort of power control, or it's got regeneration within it, like King Groot, Warlock, and also power control with the newly appointed Hulkbuster and a few others as well. Could be running really beneficial depending on what type of setup you have, and obviously if you're running S-word masteries. The next thing that's incredibly important, and the same thing obviously that was with dungeons, is communication. Now, as you can see on screen at the moment, in my Discord, I have set up 3 rooms for incursions, which have a limit of 2 people to be in them. And I would recommend using Discord or other platforms, maybe even a device. Discord does have some functionality where you're able to play and as well have like a voice chat going on and have that communication. It is important as well to just kind of hang out with people, and just kind of where this stuff is happening at the moment with the global pandemic, that people can chat, they can play the game and do this fantastic but fun mode. But also, one thing to reiterate is patience. Unfortunately, at times this game is incredibly inconsistent, and as well, maybe it's a case that the person that you'll be paired with is very inexperienced as well at the same time. As well, there's so many factors that go into drops of connections, drops of inputs, and just other stuff as well that could mean that somebody may be having a worse experience than you. And it's important to teach someone patience when it comes to these people. And going hey, fiddle-dee-dee, we didn't make it into this next zone, which I really wanted to do. And just maybe find someone in the future that is, more suited to where you are in the game. But that's the key thing, is patience. And one thing that I will be reiterating is when I do live streams with this, I'll quite happily help someone out, go as far as I can. Obviously, when I make a mistake, I hope that they're equally patient with me as well at the same time. But that's the part, being a good community, is having patience with the other person that you're playing with, and talk. If they go oh, I'm not quite sure about doing this particular champion, just go, oh, well, this champion may be a good idea, or how you doing? Are you suffering with this? It's just a case of it's nice to have that interaction and communication. As well, if you suffer from anxiety and as well it's not really your thing to be speaking, then that's fine. Just make sure someone's aware of the fact that you can only communicate or only want to communicate by the chatting function, and just kind of maybe do that instead, where people may go, look, well, we'll just stick it in game. I don't really like being hearing my sound or my voice back. I don't really like it. I'm quite uncomfortable. Then that's fine. Just stick to the tech side of things, but also make sure to link up with somebody as well that maybe understands that. Okay, something I want to talk about now, and that's switching of champions. Are switching of champions a good thing or a bad thing? Sometimes, because there will be some times where you'll go, look, this is the right decision to make. I switched this champion out correctly, but as well, they do come back with the same health as what you swap them out with, which a good example is here on screen at the moment. Okay, now I want to move on and talk about hacking. Now, hacking is probably one of the most amazing and best features that Kabam could put in, especially for something like this. I want to give a massive shout out to Aeroax over on Reddit, who's put together a full list of all the hacks and rare hacks that you will get, and you will see that when you go into incursions, you'll be like, hey, this is really good. And hacks are incredibly important to understand the way that you can pair them up and do amazing amounts of damage. Here is one such example. So I'm a massive fan of pyrokinesis, which is the one here, which is medium attacks have a 40% chance to inflict a 5-second incinerate debuff, dealing 100% of the attack as energy damage. Incinerate also impedes blocking abilities, which is amazing. But there's also something that goes quite nicely with it. And the other one is debuff reinforcement incinerate. Incinerate debuffs gain 60% potency. So as well, you've got those two there, pyrokinesis and debuff reinforcement incinerate. You then put it in with an SP2 of Dr. Doom, and we're talking some huge amounts of incinerate based damage. And obviously the same applies. If you use your champions, your knowledge, your noodle, and as well your understanding about hacks, you can really hit off some amazing kind of damage. Let's do another example. So say you've got buff upgrade fury, you've then got buff reinforcement fury, you've got perpetual offense, you've then got attribute booster multiplier, and you smash in with a heavy attack method with Hyperion, you're getting off those amazing Fury buffs, and then you go to like hitting in a special attack, my word, you'll do some amazing damage. So yes, this is all about a process of understanding your champions, what buffs they generate, and also what debuffs they do, and a way to amplify this. And yes, there's other stuff like armor break and how that functions into champions that huge amounts of armor break, like Corvus Glaive, and so many other champions as well. It is a case, once you use this, and you know your champions, you're going to be able to do some amazing amounts of damage. On any given zone, you can get 2 hacks and 1 rare hack. Now, you do have the option after you take down the boss, whether or not you want to get healing, revived, or it's the case you do get that rare hack. A lot of the times in the first couple of zones, it is important to just push towards getting those rare hacks, as that will be the linchpin to get you through that particular difficult zones right at the very end, especially considering the fact that you'll be regenning and reviving a lot more. And as well, do bear in mind that you can only use 5 items per zone. There we have it. That has been my top tips on incursions. Obviously, this video looks to get all that information about hacks and thinking about the process of what is good for whatever champion, understanding the dynamic of switching champions out, and as well further preparation as to when it's important to do a rare hack and when it's important to focus on the revives and as well the healing side of things. This has been a really fun video to do. Also, we've got tomorrow the best champions for incursions, which takes the idea of looking at the S-word mastery setup and as well a generic one, which is a collaborative project between myself and Dan of Frontline MCOC. Looking forward to getting that video out to you as well. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to grinding this out with a lot of my subscribers, doing these incursion rooms. I'll do the smaller ones with you. I'll do the bigger ones with you. We'll do this. We'll get this done. It's going to be really exciting. Look forward to doing those streams and see you all soon. Bye-bye.